Hey everybody, welcome back to the Metroid Other M commentary. Oh man, we're still on this, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Take off.
I
Okay,
will
looks
say
like
I
we're on
do
like
like
part
some of
three.
the camera angles for the, running around bits, but
It's pretty dynamic.
Some of them,
yeah,
anyway.
I mean it has a good cinematic feel to it.
That was really what they were trying to go for, is cinematic quotation marks.
Ugh.
Okay,
Yeah.
first off, we split our team up into different sectors to go check something out. Our comm system is broken except for Samus, just for reasons, probably because they chose the technology in her, and her first line of duty is to turn the fucking lights on.
Uh, I mean,
Let's split up, gang.
the problem with these fixed camera perspectives, though, apart from it making the environments look a bit bland, is that you kind of have to use your mini map to locate doors a lot of the time because they're off camera.
Well, to be fair, I always played Metroid staring at the minimap anyway, so that's not too different for me.
I mean, you could do things old school platformer style and go into first person to look around, but because the controls for that are so goddamn clunky, and oh god, are they clunky? You don't want to do it, so you just wind up relying on the minimap. Ugh.
Yeah, so the control, there are parts of this game's control that I actually do like the overblast thing. I think that's a cool maneuver. They really tried to make Samus like acrobatic and give her different ways to fight, which I think makes sense because Team Ninja, I think this is one of the only real games that Team Ninja has made where their main character mostly uses a projectile. So they wanted to make Samus have
Yeah.
like melee and stuff like
Well,
that,
well,
which is cool, I
Well,
suppose.
these kinds of action games don't usually use projectiles except as a support,
Yeah.
which is why
Ryu Hayabusa, anyone?
yeah, which is why DMC4 Special Edition was taking such a risk by making Lady a playable character, a character who traditionally has only been a cutscene or a boss character, and who has only ever been shown using a variety of guns. But DMC4 Special Edition did it reasonably well. It was broken as shit because the game it was built around wasn't made for it, but it was fun. It was interesting. You could do a lot of cool things like double jump with your rocket launcher, and
Oh, you mean just rocket jump?
yeah, you double jump with your rocket launcher, but it also fires a rocket downward, so it attacks downward at the same time. It's cool.
So rocket jumping.
Yeah, yeah, that's basically what it is. But the thing about it though is that this game doesn't really do anything with it. It's you fire a laser, and the laser is useless because the game is built around using your charge shot all the time, and the charge shot is activated with the dodge maneuver. But because the controls are so gimped, the dodge maneuver has been made basically idiot-proof, so that you can't possibly fail at it unless you just don't do it. So
Yeah.
A strange
So-
game. The only winning move is to do anything but not play.
To be fair, this Samus Returns, like that's another thing where this game expects you to dodge roll all the time, and that's how you get
yeah,
charge
and
shots.
Samus Returns expects you to counterattack everything, but the problem
Yeah,
with
so-
that is you can't mistime the dodge in this game. You can mistime the counter in Metroid Samus Returns, and you
Yeah.
will mistime it a lot.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where both kind of make
Both
it so
kind of
you
make
feel
it
like
a-
you have no choice. It's like you have to play the game this
it's
way.
it's a very monotonous thing. Like unless an enemy in Samus Returns is stuck to the ceiling, you're not going to be just shooting at it. You're going to stop and wait for the counter, and then take the counter, and then maybe you'll get it right. And then if you get it right, you're going to aim at the enemy. And the thing about the game is, if you get the counter right, the game will actually throw you a bone and auto aim straight at the enemy, so you can make the most of that window of vulnerability. But you wind up using the same maneuver on everything, which kind of gimps the gameplay a little. But the difference between that and this is that the one maneuver that you're supposed to do in this game all the time is incredibly easy to do.
So you may be wondering, in occasions where progression is not behind a locked door that requires to kill all the enemies, and what is the point of killing enemies if they don't drop anything? In certain rooms, when you wipe out all the enemies, the game will reveal any hidden items within the room.
I usually killed everything in every room because this game is much more about the combat than any other Metroid
I
game.
used to be like that, but it really hurts that they don't drop anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point?
The Ninja Gaiden comparison comes back here because, in Ninja Gaiden, and in fact, other Metroid games, enemies drop health, and that makes you want to keep fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why. You see, the concentration system is easily my least favorite part about this game, because I don't know why we can't just have health pickups, because, you know, even if you effectively have infinite health, I hate playing at only, like, 30% of my max health at all times. It stresses me out. I hate having to stop and tilt my Wiimote in weird ways, and I swear, when you're trying to refill missiles in the middle of a firefight, it never works the way you want it to. So I don't know why the game couldn't just... you see, it's one of those things where if the enemies dropped missiles, the missiles could then, you know, there could be resource management aspects where the missiles are powerful enough to, you know, kind of think, should I use my missiles now? Should I use my beam? As opposed to them just being like your default mode of firing
anything,
halfway through the game.
Make the concentration system a punishment for not playing your A game.
Yeah, like,
You know.
if you run out of missiles, like, if they're necessary for a boss fight, the game will give you some missiles, but you have to, like, you have to take 30 seconds to do it and dodge or something.
The odd thing about a lot of these mechanics is that they'd be fine if they were attached to a button that you could just hold down and do them.
Yes.
But the fact that you're constantly repositioning your Wii Remote just to do basic shit really makes a lot of...
If it
For
could be
both
done...
that and first person
It
mode.
makes a lot of really, really simple stuff in this game feel more awkward than it needs to.
Are you just letting it eat you there, John?
That's a straight up comical.
Okay, basically the thing is, I can't remember who said it, but it's more or less the design philosophy regarding motion controls I kind of go to with a lot of, like, the concentration mode. If it could be more simply done mapped to a button, then map it to a button.
You know, it's one of those things where, like, I've had instances where I tried to do concentration and the game put me into first-person mode, is also the thing. And that's never something you want to have happen when you don't expect it.
I mean, that wouldn't happen if you just mapped everything to certain different buttons.
This is not a game, aside from first-person mode, where you really needed motion controls at all, really.
The one mechanic in this game that I really, really like are these finishers, where you look at the enemy, you can tell that they're vulnerable, so you go in for the kill. It's satisfying. It's also
Assume
somewhat
everything
challenging.
can be overblasted, and if they look like they're staggering, that's time for a lethal strike.
Yeah, but you know, it's interesting to see a game implement that kind of system without doing what everyone else does with that kind of system, which is telling you that you can do it whenever you can do it.
Yeah, there's more.
Telling me to do it now.
Yeah, well, this is the tutorial. This is the
Well,
tutorial.
No, they still do this throughout the entire game.
Yeah. The tutorial prompts never seem to go away, and that's another thing that I don't like about this game.
You see, it's this is what's frustrating, because, you know, D-pad restrictions or not, the combat in this game is still satisfying to a degree, especially the boss fights. I do think that Other M does have some pretty spectacular boss fights at points. You know, not the best I've ever played, but pretty damn good in a lot of ways. And there is a lot of attempts at fan service, I'll call them. Whether a lot of the time when you bring up a certain fight that I thought was cool, Metroid fans are, oh, that pissed me off because it's not like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But, you know, there are attempts to be Metroid fan service in here that would be... Okay, John, that was not that hard.
Hey, Ted, you try holding up and nothing happens.
Was Adam watching that on CC?
Yeah, Adam did not authorize power grip, Ted.
John,
Jesus Christ.
you were
Get
clearly
with the time.
trying to grab from the side, okay?
Oh god, I hate this. Okay, you saw that door inside the door. This is Metroid Other M's big contribution to Metroid tradition now, because Samus Returns does this shit too, where you need something that you get at the end of the game in order to access half the goddamn rooms.
Oh, no, that's been there since Fusion.
Fusion did it?
Fusion,
Yeah.
in Fusion, right before you're supposed to go and blow up the space station, that's your only, I think that's right after you get Screw Attack, and that's the only time you can get, like, the last 10 power-ups. Zero Mission did it too, where after you get all the Chozodia stuff, you have to backtrack to the main game and go get all that stuff too. It's been, I don't know why they've kept on doing that for, like, a good 10 years, because nobody likes it. It's obnoxious.
They don't want you to 100% the game when you fight the final boss or something, I guess, which is stupid, but...
All that kind of stuff does is make you forget to go back. But in Other M, it's really pronounced because it's the only non-linearity the game gives you. You get the post-game shit where you can go through all the locked doors. and you go through the station a second time, and you fight Fantoon at the end.
I think close to half of the items is locked behind post-game.
Ugh, the quest.
Because I could not be bothered, honestly, because it's just so fucking out of the way.
There's really not much to do either. It's not like there's any extra boss fights aside from Fantoon, who you can walk straight to.
You know what I
So
said
you don't
about
even have to
environments
look for
looking
him.
more organic when you can see them from any angle?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that right now, sort of. Just a little
so
bit.
this is one of the many times in the game, which is why I'm kind of floundering here, because I honestly forgot the game does this, where there's there's nothing of interest in the room you're currently in, and you have to backtrack a certain point until the cutscene just kicks back up. You know, because it's like, oh, now something's gonna happen. Because this trips me up. There's gonna be a cut here, because I forgot like legitimately for like 5 minutes that, oh wait, I'm supposed to go back to the room now for a story progression to happen, because you can't tell that through gameplay.
What did that poor little guy ever do to you, John?
He existed.
Okay.
He was in the way. But,
Nice dissolve.
I love dissolving.
wish I could dissolve this game in acid.
Well, you could. That would just, that wouldn't get rid of all the other.
Who's ready for another game of Where's Waldo? Where is that little scamp? Where is he?
Look for that striped sweater.
Where is he? Oh,
And then the little Moogle thing comes out with the striped sweater.
There's not even
It's
anything.
about
There's not even anything to really see there.
You
Yep,
say,
time to bring up my Pokédex. It says this is a red light.
you say Moogle, but it looks like a crossbreed of Moogle and Chocobo.
A
Well,
Mokobo.
it has chicken legs.
You are right about the Pokemon comparison, though, because there's no way you would. Well, this is more of a later generation Pokemon thing, because that looks nothing like what it's supposed. The evolution of Ridley doesn't really make much sense.
It turns
Like-
from a chicken
No.
rabbit.
It's like it's part of like the Larvitar line. You know, you get the-
It turns from a chicken rabbit to a goddamn dragon. Like, what the? Why?
Is Ridley mammal, lizard? What? It's intelligent at the very least. Like Ridley's supposed to be an intelligent. He runs the kind of. We don't. It's
Listen,
never really clear.
I don't think. Make a safe assumption here. I don't think any of us are space dragon experts.
Ridley's a movie reference, so he acts like movie references. He starts
So
out.
you're telling me that Ridley Scott looked the same way when he came out of the womb?
No, I'm telling you, he acts like movie references. He starts out small, cute, and kind of amusing, but then through overuse and overeating, he becomes a goddamn dragon, and you have to kill it off.
Oh, okay.
because-
Like actual space dragon?
You see, that's another thing. Like, what if they had, like, I don't know. I'm just trying to pull shit out of my head. Like, at first you're supposed to be kind of endeared by it, and I don't know if they're trying to be, like, I don't know, like, trying to do that on purpose, or if they're just trying to make
You're also
up the
supposed to
mystery
wonder
aspects.
You're also supposed to wonder, since all of the animals and since all of the wildlife here is presumably from Zebes, where on Earth you met that rabbit thing in Super Metroid. And maybe you're supposed to think, hey, is it one of the animals that got off the planet before it blew up on a spaceship or something?
No, it's not.
That
No,
was
it's
my
not,
first thought, actually.
It's Ridley. There was Ridley guts on you, apparently.
Oh, but apparently, okay, so apparently they didn't pick up any Chozo shit though, because this game forgets that the Chozo exist. Like,
Well,
at all.
they didn't pick up anything. Zebes blew up, and they cloned a bunch of wildlife off the guts and stuff that Samus had on her suit. No joke, that's literally the explanation for this.
But Samus, like, Super Metroid was supposed to have happened like 5 minutes ago when this game starts. Is the thing. So
No, it's a non-specified length of time, because the beginning of the game starts out right after Super Metroid, where you're getting cleaned up and going through training, because that was the scene that establishes that they cleaned up your suit, because that's where the animals came from. But the time span between the tutorial and the actual start of the game is non-specified.
How did they clean my suit when it's tied to my willpower?
Ooh, look, a shiny thing.
Oh, where?
What's that over there?
Oh, behind the waterfall. Good Good eyes, John. Good
Well,
eyes.
you know,
There is always something behind the
if
waterfall.
you're
Ted.
gonna start with that, the rules governing Samus Aran's power suit are odd, and they've been
inconsistent.
They've been inconsistent from game to game. Like how in Fusion and Metroid Prime 3 did they mod Samus's armored suit?
I'm just questioning from within what was established in this game specifically.
If falling unconscious is enough to make the suit go away, why on earth are they able to mod the suit while Samus is unconscious?
Well, at the beginning of Metroid Fusion, they couldn't get it off because she was unconscious, and they had to rip it, literally, like, rip it off of her body in order to get to her to...
It had to be surgically removed.
Yeah, so, which destroyed it, is also the thing. So, like, if in this game, it established that if Samus gets knocked out, the suit disappears, which, to me, seems like an incredibly stupid idea, because, like... Batman 89, if Batman goes unconscious, like the suit will shock you if you touch it, which makes more sense. So.
Oh, I thought you meant like if Batman goes unconscious, the suit disappears. He's nothing but his tiny whities.
No, that's Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins, John.
You're right.
He's not wrong. Yes, he's not wrong there.
But you see, it's stuff like this that. Like this environment, like right here in the canyon and stuff. Like I do think that some areas of this game do look legitimately kind of neat, like with all the random dinosaurs walking around and whatnot. What I think would have made it more interesting, and what is another big complaint about this game, is that there's practically no music at all, and it makes the game feel.
Well, there is,
very
but there's no tunes.
Well, it's like listening to environmental noises from Smash Brothers.
It's all atmospheric, trademark.
But the problem is that Metroid, through the 2D games in Prime, I think is one of the best series at combining atmospheric songs with melody. Like Kraid's theme, one of the best atmospheric pieces I've heard, but also a fantastic melody. Like that's one of my favorite video game songs of all time. But
Save point. Save point.
How many times have I said already that it's pretty clear I do not give a shit in this commentary?
I think it just matches Samus's mental state a little bit better because she's clearly out of it.
Okay,
so...
you've been tanking damage in this game harder than you've tanked damage against bosses in Sonic the Hedgehog. So.
or how you play in any of the X games.
Yes. I just have to kill them before they kill me.
He's not wrong.